Hello, and welcome to another Chronic Pain Conversations. This is your girl, Khalilah Bruswell, and I am here with Miss Sharifa McLaren. We've had a change in our schedule today. Isla Hickson, who was supposed to be on today to do with hydrocephalus, will be joining us on another day. So today, I get to share our conversation about what's been going on with my summer journey, what I've been diagnosed with, and some of the new things that have been happening. Are you guys ready for another Chronic Pain Conversations? Let's Hello and welcome to Chronic Pain Conversations. My name is Khalilah Bruswell, and this is my lovely co-host, Miss Sharifa McLaren. How are you doing today, Sharifa?
Today has been I'm not even going to say a day. It's been a morning.
Why?
Listen, I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. Listen, we're just going to get right into the show because I'm excited. As much as things are not working out, it's working out. So I'm excited.
Everything always works out, my love.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about pain and pleasure. I've got a little feedback from you right now, Mama.
Yep.
Talk to me about pain and pleasure. What is going on with you? How has your week been? How was your Labor Day?
Labor Day was not Labor Day.
Oh.
Okay, so I had an appointment yesterday, and it did not go according to plan. And I don't know if it was the whole stress about it not going according to plan, but I came back with like a massive headache. I had to go back yesterday to do some blood work. Didn't happen because of my headache. I had to go this morning for blood work. Didn't happen. So I'm hoping that after the show I can just go. But it was like one of those headaches that I'm just like, where did you come from? So it hasn't been great. It hasn't been great, but nonetheless, I'm excited for the show as always because today we talking about you.
Why are you always excited when we talk about me?
Because you're interesting.
I'm interesting. Okay.
You're very interesting.
Well, my life
tell me about you. How was your Labor Day?
So I spent my Labor Day on Route 66.
Okay.
I have to get back from New York to California, and it's taking me a little longer than expected. I actually should be in Las Vegas right now, but I'm not. I'm actually in Oklahoma City. So again, this comes back down to the flying.
Yeah.
So flying by myself, I normally have to get a medical assistant. So flying is a lot more difficult. But taking the hotels and just taking the route by myself is a lot easier. So my body can just like relax and just chill, and I can stop. Plus taking Route 66, there's all these different tourist attractions. So I can always get up, go see something, walk, stretch, because my body still can't do long drives. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm enjoying it. I'm 2 days behind. I have to find my booty into California by Wednesday. So I've got to do that by tomorrow. So there's still a lot of driving, but I've been balancing it. So I'm happy that I'm getting to experience part of history. And it's keeping me going. So there's some really amazing Sharifa. I was in the Kansas City section and I saw cars like Mater, tow truck Mater, and like
my God. I honestly, with all this driving that you're doing, especially by yourself, I hope you're taking time to like reflect and just self-meditate while you're on the road. As much as you have to concentrate, yes.
Have you met me?
I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just giving you a little reminder.
Girl, it is all me and God. The amount of things that I have learned through this trip that God has been telling me to, the way that I've been not pushing myself. I've actually had to stop. Like the reason why I'm 2 days behind is because I'm really just letting my body flow and just letting it go. So it's just been like it's been pretty cool.
Gotcha.
But I'm happy. You know, I called my sister yesterday because the kids grew up on cars. The kids grew up on cars 1, 2, 3. I wish there was a 4, 5, and 6. And she's laughing at me. She's like, you must be like, she thought I was at Universal Studios. And she was just like, you're crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh.
You're like living a movie.
I am. So this is pretty cool. I'm loving it. Loving it, but I have to take it very slow.
Of course.
And this is one of the things that I wanted even our chronic pain conquerors to think about. Like, I could be taking the highway. I'm just trying to take it at a pace that I need it to take at. And again, one of the things I always teach with my clients is pacing yourself. So I already had left space in case my body would shut down or whatever. So these extra days that I'm taking, it's not coming out of my schedule. That was already in there. So that's been pretty cool. Okay. It's been pretty cool. Nice. So you guys, I guess today we're talking about me. Last week we talked about you.
Yes. So last week was all about me, but we know that you have some stuff going on as well. I've been eager to really hear, and I'm eager for our chronic pain community to hear as well, what's been going on this summer with you.
All right. So we will start, and anytime you want to ask a question and jump in.
Absolutely. Because I'm hearing about some new diagnosis, and I'm just like, will it ever stop?
Okay. So here we go, guys. So basically, as you know, last year, I was in California. I had come down to California, and I had met some clinicians from referrals, because even though I am not in Canada, I actually need someone to basically, I still need treatment. Like, I can't go 2 weeks without treatment because I need someone to always touch me. So I got a referral when I was in California, I got a referral from an amazing physiotherapist, and she diagnosed me with something called Lipedema. Hadn't heard about it before. And basically, she sent me back to Canada. When I was going to Canada, she said, tell your doctors to do some research on it and to get you tested. And so I did. But all they did was blood work. And even though it was in the diagnosis or the materials I brought back, and this is one of the things that I always tell people, make sure that you take your medical records with you, because when a doctor comes from one place to another, if they can see the doctor's medical diagnosis, their records, it helps them out. I only went for blood work, and it came back as you don't have any anti-inflammatory diseases. And we were talking about that in one of the episodes, Sharifa, where we're like, I didn't even know that you could take blood work to find that out.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I come back down to California because I had to have a post-op appointment for something else. And I was down here, and I went back to see her because I've got clinicians here as well in California. And basically, she's like, well, how did the testing go? And I said, well, they did a blood test and nothing came back. And she goes, okay, they didn't do the right test. And she said, I want to refer you to see somebody. So she was referring me to what is called an endocrinologist. Still learning that word. And it took me, I decided to stay down in the States for a little while to see what this was, because I know while I love OHIP is free and it's great, it takes longer for a specialist. We're talking about, you could be waiting 6 months, and I was able to see the chronologist in less than a month and a half. So amazing woman that has been studying that has been an endocrinologist for how many years. She's actually doing a study with the Mayo Clinic. So I was actually very, very blessed at the fact that she was able to do all of this for me. And her name is actually Dr. Herbst. I'll give a shout out to Dr. Karen Herbst right now, in hopes that one day we sorry. Sorry about that. Okay. So basically, Dr. Herbst did this. She did a physical examination, which really and truthfully, I hated. It really, really hated it. Because anybody with chronic pain knows that when you start touching all over the place, it just is not, it's just setting your body off.
Yeah. Or you figure out you have bruises where you didn't know they were.
That is really, really, it's really crazy. Mm-hmm. So she is amazing, because when she gave me this, she was doing, when she gave this report, she literally gave this page report, which was amazing. So she diagnosed me with lipedema stage 2, type 3 and 4. And basically there's 4 different stages of lipedema. The higher up, the worse it is. So I actually have the second. So lipedema is a congenital enlargement of fat tissues on your legs, or seen it, and then it's only mostly seen in women. So this is actually something that's only towards women. Lipedema affects 11% of the female population, 11%, Sharifa, and has initially described by Allen and Hitz in 1940. It remains unknown and it remains underdiagnosed. But basically what's happening is women with lipedema have disproportionate bodies with larger legs and hips and arms and waist. So we're talking about, let's see if you guys can see this. So you know this is extra. So you know when I do my arm like this, and when you see it, there's this extra portion.
Right.
That is additional fat cells that don't need to be in my body.
Gotcha.
It's always been one of those things where I was like, my nephew always used to play with it and I didn't know it. But here's the other thing. So this cannot just only be around your arms and your legs, but we're talking about additional white fat cells throughout your body. So it's almost exclusively occurring in women. It's bilateral. It's minimal. Give me a second.
No worries.
There's pain, tenderness on pressure. It increases vascular fragility. So things like my varicose veins are now playing in part about this. Arms are affected 80% of the time. Hydrothermia in the skin. So you know how I've been saying since my last car accident, I keep feeling like I'm frozen in Canada. Like I literally cannot stay in Canada in the wintertime anymore because this last car accident has changed me. This is the reason why. This is the reason why I'm in such pain. So, and sorry, go on.
I want to know, you said it's predominantly for women. Does your race, is your race a factor, or it's just general?
I don't know if race is a factor, but it's just women.
Okay.
Just women in general. Okay. Our bodies are developed differently than men. So there's these different things that are happening. So there's swelling worsens with osteoarthritis in the summertime. It affects our cholesterol. So funny enough, even though I'm losing the weight, and you know I've been working really hard to lose the weight.
Right.
These fat cells, when they keep getting swollen, keep bringing my weight back up. So I've been fighting. So me as a thick girl, a big girl, this is something that has been, so let me explain this. This is not something that just happens. You're kind of born with this, but trauma sets it off.
So basically, your weight is not really a you problem.
My weight is really not a me problem because I've been.
What your body does.
Exactly. And so I've been fighting with my body for all these
years. Yeah.
There is a part, I'm not going to lie.
You've been going to the gym for no reason?
Oh, no. The gym always keeps me healthy. In fact, 100%. I managed to get on the treadmill for 30 minutes today. So
100%. No, I'm just joking with you.
But I still have to keep up my health to balance it off. But we see these women, like if I showed you a video of these like sometimes they'll be this big, they could be smaller ones. Right. But what's really funny is, and I realized it and I didn't know what it was, but when I touch my body, when I touch my legs, when I touch my arms, even amazingly, pelvic area, okay? Wow. There are these little bumps, right? My weight is helping to control it, but there's these bumps all over my body and I can feel them under my skin and I never knew what it was. And she's now explaining this to me at my age. But what's happened is I've just always been able to deal with it. But I've been a thick girl not knowing what this was.
That it was an actual issue, yeah.
Right. So it increases my bruising. So it was really funny because she had asked the question. She's like, does your bruising last longer? And I had posted last year about my, I had a bruise. I had gotten a needle. I had gotten a shot. And about A week later, 2 weeks later, it was still brown. And I was like, I've got to post. And she goes, perfect. This is evident, because she needed to be able to see all of this. Right. And she's like, so we're talking about your buttocks. We're talking about your ankles, your arms, your legs. We're talking about can be all over your body. So this is basically, there is a surgery that can happen for this. Now, let's not play around. Not everybody can afford the surgery.
Right.
Surgery is not, and this is not like a sleeve surgery. This is not a lose weight surgery. It is a liposuction surgery, because they go in and they're removing not just the fat cells, but the lymph nodes that are in there, that are being sensitive, that are causing the problems. And so that is how that's going to help me, right?
And that's major.
That's major. So that's why I'm staying down here. I'm staying down here to get this procedure, because if I get this procedure in Canada, it will take longer, especially with the OHIP.
So is that something that they have to like go all over your body to do, or can they go in one section and then kind of remove from?
So God is an amazing being. So last year when I came down, I had what was called a micro liposuction to remove white fat cells. And I couldn't understand why, but I was like, okay, God. And he already took some of the spots out, right? And that's why when I came back to Canada, while I was in pain, I was in excruciating pain. I was in excruciating pain in January, February, but I found out I wasn't in as much pain, but I was like, this is not as much pain as it was the first car accident.
Right.
And now I understood why, because they took out those white fat cells. But when I went back to Dr. Herbst and got the review, there were parts of my body that still have it that have not been done. So now they're going to go in. And I felt like God was like, we're going to break this up into 2 parts. Most people can do it all in one. Right. But I'm doing mine in 2. So I did part already, and I'm doing another part now. So you guys may actually see a different Khalilah in the next few months, going into 2022. But this is where we're talking about how I feel those pains and those colds and the oversensitivity. There's additional things in my body that's picking up those sensitivities that are sending all that stuff to my brainwave. And it's setting me off even more, right? She confirmed the fibromyalgia. She also confirmed something that I didn't know, which I have been bragging about for years, you guys. So you remember how I was like, I'm flexible. I can touch my toes. I can fit my feet. I can, right? I have always been like, I'm a big girl, but I'm a flexible.
But you're flexible, yeah.
Do you know what flexibility is? So if you were with us in our pilot, you would know that we had a co-host by the name of Victoria, and Victoria had Ehlers Danlos syndrome.
Right.
She's not the only one. I also have hypermobility joint syndrome, which is what it's also known as.
Wow.
So it is basically, I overextend my body. So now what people are expecting when you hear hyper, you're thinking that if you're West Indian, you know about bruck up. Like, you know about people that can like bruck up their hand.
Yeah, put the behind and come over. Yeah.
So Ehlers it's kind of like when you think about the seizures. Seizures have all these different levels to it. So does Ehlers, in terms of everybody can have it differently. So the fact that so when I walk, I hyperextend. When I do certain things with my hands or whatever, like, so even the fact that I can bend my hand a little over more and certain things like that when they're doing certain, now some people can go and they can touch all the way. See that? Right? Now some people can go a little further, right? Look at you. Why does your eyes look like that?
Because I'm like looking, I'm like, can I do that? But I don't even want to take my pinky and try that.
So all these years, I thought that, so what's really interesting to me, and one of the things that I'm definitely learning is, so from these car accidents, we found out that I had alpha thalassemia, hypermobile joint syndrome, and lipedema. So these are possible things that I was born with, but my accidents
manifested it,
exacerbated it.
I was just about to ask you if you thought you had this previously. It's just the accident brought it out.
I did not know. I didn't know these things at all. Like, really and truthfully, Sharifa, these weren't words that I would have associated with myself.
Yeah.
right? So all this time I thought I was just a fat girl. All this time I thought that I was just a big girl. All this time.
When you're talking about the hypermobility, I always grew up in school seeing people do certain things, and I'm like, how do you do that? But now that you're even getting this diagnosis so later on in life, it makes me wonder, like, some of these people I went to school with, did they get a diagnosis? Or are they just still living thinking like they're cool because they can do it without knowing that something might actually, there might be something going on. So it's interesting.
Right. So not only is there that, but there's also the fact that I have varicose veins. So I've known that I've had varicose veins, but again, basically and I was able to live with them. And it was one of those things where my doctors were like, if you take care of your weight, you won't have to have surgery, right? My brother had surgery and he had the vein stripped. He said in Ontario, it was a really bad experience. So there is an option for me to have a conversation with a surgical person down here to see what there is. So I'm down here to take care of my health. I'm down here to take certain procedures. But at the same token, there's this place where it's kind of like we have these conversations about American and Canadian health system, which one's better, which one. Like, I'm listening to some chronic pain people, and their health system down here sucks if they don't have a certain amount of money. But if they're a veteran, there's certain benefits, and it all depends on which plan. It is really confusing down here for me. I'm still learning it with some of my clients. So there's that, but I think what has been the best thing, what's amazing for me is this. My original diagnosis was with fibromyalgia. And I've always said, for me, because they're like, well, fibromyalgia is so different for other people and everything else, I always felt like fibromyalgia was always this umbrella and there was all these possible branches of diagnoses, right? And that you have always had this conversation because you have it, but you have lupus.
Right.
And mine was just, well, you just have fibromyalgia. And I was like, but now that I know that I have the PNES, now that I know that I have the lipedema, now that I know that I have the Ehlers Danlos, now that I know that I have, now that I remember that the varicose veins, when you add 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, this 5 makes a lot of sense compared to just the 1.
I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
With all that you have been diagnosed with, from fibro come now down the line to recent, how do you feel emotionally? Are you overwhelmed?
No.
I can be honest with you. I'm here and I'm actually going through your list and I'm overwhelmed for you. So I want to know, how do you feel emotionally? How do you think you're coping? Like, judging yourself, how do you feel you are coping? Do you think you're coping well? Good days and bad days? How do you think?
So you're talking to someone that was diagnosed with ADD and ADHD, and I have been getting diagnoses my whole life, Sharifa. And the truth of the matter is the diagnoses really aren't, they're to help give me and the world understanding. Mm-hmm. I have more understanding now, which means I have less confusion, right? It took me a little bit of time, but it was kind of like when I first got fibro and then I would go into the fibro groups and I'd be shaking. They were like, that's not fibro. And there was more confusion on not knowing what it was.
Right.
And once you got the diagnosis, you felt more comfortable.
Got you.
So I was always like, but I've always had this conversation, because even in December, I was like, stay tuned to find out what this really is, or find out what my journey was about. And we've always looked into this. And now I'm a lot more confident and comfortable in myself, because the truth of the matter is these diagnoses are seen and recognized more than fibromyalgia. And it really, really sucks. Rheumatologists and doctors don't want to touch the word fibromyalgia because they don't know what it's associated with. But when they hear lipedema, when they hear Ehlers Danlos, there's even a comfortability in going into that conversation with them with, oh, well, this is what you can take. This is what we can help. This is how you do your nutrition. This is how you do your workouts. It makes so much sense, because I didn't know that I had Ehlers, and I'm sitting here working my butt off trying to figure out why my feet are hurting me afterwards, or why I'm getting, my bursitis is swelling up, or why. And it's like, because you're overhyping your body, because we have to change your posture because of the way that your body is.
Gotcha.
That education makes it a little easier for me to take care of myself. So I actually walk away from these going, thank you. Because as she was going through these diagnoses and actually explaining and giving me what these details were, I was like, yeah. Like, she's like, are you really flexible? Have you been flexible since birth? I was like, girl, I have been climbing through places that people don't even know. Like, the stories of me being able to climb the wall in my house to get into my window when my mama kicked me out. EDS.
I'm glad that you found someone, though, that took the time to sit and explain everything from the top all the way down in detail, because that's a lot of what we lack, the time given to us to properly explain certain things that are going on with us. So I'm really happy you found that person that took the time out of their busy schedule to sit and properly explain to the point where you understand yourself more.
It wasn't even that. It was even her report. Like, the report that she gives me every time I go, I've had 2 reports. The report that she gives me, she actually includes the information in the report. So my acupuncturist, my family doctor, anybody that I'm dealing with, my chiropractor who doesn't understand what it is, the information is there once I give them the report on not just one, but them all. And so it is not even, so I was literally just pulling up my report to remember some of the wording that was coming with it. And it's great. It's educational. It's not just go to the Mayo Clinic and click on their site and find out the information. It's like, it's in my hand. I can read it. I can see it. And I think that, truth be told, anybody I gave the report to, they were like, this doctor's really efficient. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. I'm down here in the States longer than I was expecting to be, because I only thought I was going to be down here for a month. I will be down here for a few more months. I'm making things work, but I'm also learning about the chronic pain community. Like, the communities that are, I jump on Zooms with those in Ontario, but I'm jumping on Zooms with people in Arizona and in Phoenix and in California. The things that I'm learning, the way that the medical system is different, the way that people look at it themselves, there's a very different mindset as soon as you cross the border. And that's both when it comes to pain, finances, hustling, just achieving. So it's been a very interesting ride for me. It's also very interesting because I'm watching how my body is changing or being affected by the weather down here as well. Like I have to consistently put myself in, like, I'm glad that I went up to New York because it was a different temperature, because I feel like my body is going through so many different ways. I'm glad for this chapter. I'm glad for this knowledge. I'm glad for this understanding. I'm glad.
That's good. I am. Yeah, can you hear me?
Any questions, my love?
I'm mind blown that you found out all of these.
You went quiet on me. Any other questions that you have?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. I was saying I'm very mind blown that you found out all of these things being down there, but at the same time,
no, I'm reserving my own.
At the same time, I feel like it's, like you said, a new chapter, a new beginning. And for some reason, I feel like it can only get better. I feel like it can only get better.
There's a place where people have to, there's a fine balance between knowledge giving you power and elevating you, and knowledge tearing you down. This is my life we're talking about, Sharifa. And I am about to turn 44. And I'd like to think that I'm going to be 88, which means I'm only halfway through my life.
Right.
And if I don't know what's wrong with me now, how am I going to make it to 88?
Absolutely.
How am I going to, right? I mean, you've seen me. I have been pushing through pain thresholds to regain my tolerance. I have been fighting because I have a niece and a nephew who I want to still show life to. I'm still fighting because Route 66 is one of my bucket lists. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm fighting because I've chosen, and it doesn't matter. I've gone through so much crap in my life. And even though this could be, added to that bucket list, it's also something that has grown me. And if it's growing me, let it continue to grow me. Absolutely. And I think we look, it's a hard thing because, we cry. Like, people don't understand, like, we're on here right now and we look good and all this other stuff, but you don't see us when our tears are like,
like the eyeliner starts to run in the black lines. Yup.
Don't touch me, I'm in a flare up.
I mean, even just before we even press live and go live, we're just like in shambles sometimes, and we're like, all right, poker face, let's do this. It happens, guys. It happens. You don't see everything, but that's what the chronic pain conquerors go through. That's how we conquer things. We just got to let out our emotions, dry out the tears, and then take a fresh start and keep it pushing.
And stop and restart. There have been, like, let me explain this to you. I have had to stop and restart at least 5 or 6 times while I've been down here in California.
Yeah.
I've had to stop and restart at least every 2 weeks. Every time I think that I've got a schedule that's going and it's ready to go, something happens. And that something could be the weather change. That something could be, I pushed my body just a little bit too much. That something could be I sat down for too long and now that set my body off. I am continuously changing my schedule. No one can ask me. Like I just said, I started this off saying I'm 2 days behind.
Yeah.
I'm 2 days behind my schedule. Right. But what I also realized, there's a couple of things that I have realized. We never knew how our life was going to go anyways, Sharifa. Whether we had chronic pain or not, we never know what an hour ahead from now is going to bring us.
You don't.
Right? We don't know. There were certain things that whether we had chronic pain or not, we never knew or were always dreams. Like I hear people that talk about, I want to be something, or I had certain dreams to be something and the chronic pain stopped me.
Yep.
I still have dreams. Like we sit here and we have this conversation and I'll say it again. I want to be a Joyce Myers and a Tony Robbins of chronic pain. And I get up every day with that in mind. And sometimes my body says, stay in bed for that day. Right. And that's still a lesson for our chronic pain community. Sometimes it's like up and go. And I'm like, that's a lesson for me in the chronic pain community. Sometimes it's just go slow. Right. Every day is different. And if we accept that, it makes it a little bit more easier because we never knew what was going to happen anyway. So many times you could be a parent, go to work, and all of a sudden your kid gets sick and you were in a meeting and you got to stop that meeting, reschedule yourself, go pick up your kid and be a mom before you're a boss or an employee. Right. Things are always changing.
And I think that honestly brings me into my final thoughts about hearing everything that, you've been through and just to see how things just pop up and develop. Life is unpredictable. And that's just what it is. You wake up one morning thinking this is my day set, but it may not go according to plan. It honestly, I have learned that in the past 3 months. And it's always been one of my first thoughts in the morning, like, God, you got this, you know, this is my day, but I don't know how my day's going to end. And it was a perfect example when my dad passed. I woke up, never saw it coming, and then the day never ended the same. So life is just unpredictable, but I think it's just for us to just take a deep breath, accept it for what it is, and try our hardest to just keep on going.
The other thing that I definitely learned, and the funny thing about it is it was actually a show. It's funny because our show is unlike any other. And there was one show that was out there where there was this doctor who was trying to help people get diagnosed with really rare diseases. And it's because of that show, I had watched this girl and she took time. It took her a long time to get her diagnosis. She knew something was wrong and the doctor's going to figure it out. And she actually had to fly to another country to get certain tests done because they weren't seen here in America. I think in me seeing that, it helped me understand that it may take time for me to find out what is going on with my body. If you have a chronic pain disease and you feel like it could be more than one thing, because one thing, like we thought it was just one thing, right? Alpha thalassemia, and then we thought it was fibro, but it's alpha thalassemia, lipedema, EDS, varicose veins, the fibromyalgia. Like there's one turned into 5, but I was being patient to find it out. And that's the one thing that, if that's going to be my final thought, that's what I want to give to our chronic pain conquerors. Give yourself time to find things out. If you can give yourself time to go to school for 4 years and every year you learn a different subject, allow yourself time, considering that this is your school of life. Allow yourself time to keep finding out, do you have more than one diagnosis? Is there more than one thing happening on with your body? Don't be frustrated as soon as the conversation is there. Don't be frustrated with just hearing the length of time that it's going to take for you to actually get a diagnosis or to find additional information. You know, time is definitely, very valuable, but at the same time, honor it, understand that even though we live in a microwave society where it takes 1 minute for, minute rice, it doesn't take 1 minute for you to figure out what is going on with your body. It does take time. So that would be my final thought, my love. Okay. You like that?
I do like that. And I actually wanted to tell you, please update us when you can about this journey, the procedure stuff, because your story is not done.
It is not done. It is not done. And
none of our stories are done, but I'm eager to hear how the procedures go and all that stuff.
So it looks like we're both having surgeries this year.
I never thought of it like that, but you're right. You're right. I never thought about it like that.
So that's it. Should we go into our keep it moving moment, my love?
Yes, we shall.
So I'm really, really, really happy to give this keep it moving moment, because this is something that my mentor has been speaking about for years. This is about something that has come from a very well-known author who's been just highly recommended for years. And it comes from Napoleon Hill. And if you don't know, I truly, truly tell you to download, buy, find the book called Think and Grow Rich. It has changed so many people's lives. I think it can change yours too, but this is what the quote says. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve.
I believe that.
And I think that's actually perfect for me because I keep believing I can be something, go something in the middle of this pain.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm striving for.
And you accomplish them. You accomplish it.
And I've been accomplishing them.
Yep.
And I want that to be the same thing for our chronic pain conquerors. I mean, if you believe that you can go and help a family member and be there to support them, you do it and you achieve it. Now it's time for you to believe that you can take care of yourself and go and achieve it. That's what I'm going to say.
I like that.
All right. Close us up, Ms. Sharifa.
Well, guys, that is our show. I'm Sharifa McLaren Thomas from YouTube's The Thomas Life.
And I am Khalilah, the OvercomR. We will be back next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time, with guest Amy Slevin from Flow Motion to discuss yoga and rehabilitation when it comes to chronic pain. Amy is a movement and mindset coach from the UK. She helps you empower, awaken, and connect your mind and body in ways you never thought possible. Whether you're an avid movement lover or an apprehensive movement obliger or recovering from pain or illness, she helps people enjoy teaching and moving. She enjoys helping them move and teach them how to feel strong and capable in your body. How awesome was that, Sharifa? No matter what you're going through.
I might be a bit confused next week because I'm going to wonder if it's hypermobility that I might have if we're talking about moving our bodies in ways we can't imagine.
I don't behave yourself.
I'm excited. I am excited.
You know, normally the only time you say that is when a man is in the room with you and your hubby's in the room with you. But sorry. Sorry, guys. You get the best and the worst from my life.
This is what we do. We forget that we're live sometimes. But nonetheless, thanks for joining us for another episode of Chronic Pain Conversations. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at CP Conversations. We also invite you to be our guest if you're a chronic pain sufferer. If you live with a chronic pain disease or illness, or you have tips on how to manage life throughout the pain. Remember, fill out our forms on any of our social media. The link is in our bio. We also invite businesses and services such as physiotherapists, chronic pain association and support groups, marijuana chefs, health suppliers, and many others that help support and or cater to the chronic pain community to be our guests as well, or even just to promote your business, So again, visit any of our social media bio links to fill out our form. Have a blessed day, and remember, Chronic Pain Conversations is a show that enlightens and advocates about chronic pain.